All right, that's enough dribble from me. Benny Chidiac, can you find, I can see him right there, Mr. Ben Campbell. There you go, Ben. We've got to, there you are. How are you, mate?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining us tonight.
I was a bit worried there for a second. You said we're going to hear from our brother Ben Campbell, and we've got a song. I went, what? We didn't talk about that.
Oh, we didn't put that on the run sheet for you? Okay.
No, mate, that's a no-go zone, that one.
Now, Ben, people may not have seen your face before, although they may have, but I reckon a bunch of us over here have heard your dulcet tones on Revival in the Air podcast. Can I just get a little bit of spirit fingers from everybody if you've managed to hear Ben and his podcast, Revival in the Air? Am I calling it the right name, Ben?
It's the one.
It's a favorite of mine, mate. I'm a big podcaster. My brother got me into podcasts about 5 years, and that one for me is top of the pops. Mm. So what inspired that one? What was the brainwave behind Revival in the Air?
So I was at a camp, and a lady was giving a testimony, and I knew this lady pretty well. She's actually part of my extended family. So my daughter is married to her son, and she was telling a testimony of one of her other son, and what had happened to him through his birth, and he had this particular disease when he was born, where he would stop breathing as when he was a little baby, and they ended up going through a range of tests and other things, and I sort of knew the story because you sort of hear it, you get those 4 or 5 minute snippet testimonies at a meeting of the story of somebody's great healing or what God's done for them. But the format was different this camp, and it was a 15-minute testimony, and she put up some slides and some scan and things, and I sat there and I went, man, when you hear the depth of a testimony about what the Lord does, it just amplifies how amazing it is. Mm-hmm. And we can become a little bit complacent, oh, someone's healed of cancer, oh, that's great. Or someone's healed of this, oh, that's great, But when you hear the depth of the story and the anguish they go through and what they did and what the Lord did and how the Lord comforted them and did this and did that, it's just like, man, we need to do this differently. And I thought, well, there's no way anyone's going to let us do half an hour testimonies at a meeting. Yeah. And that's where the idea come from. So I actually approached Ange and said, hey, I'm thinking about doing this after your testimony. What do you reckon? Would you be the first person? She said, yeah. So she's the very first episode if you go right back. And and I'd had a bit of I was fortunate. Unfortunate, I had a insurance claim issue, and so I got a bit of cash back from this insurance claim, and they paid out more than I was expecting. I had some extra money left over, which I hadn't had a use for yet, and I thought, oh, maybe I'll use that to buy some podcast equipment with, and so that's how it came about.
Wow! So how many episodes on Revival in the Air are there?
Thanks for that. I think we're at 80 something or 60 something. It's quite a lot.
Yeah, it's a heap. And is there, look, 80, that's 80 stories of the Lord living in people and working through their lives, healing. I've heard healings. I've heard amazing deliverance. I've heard, some struggles and just people leaning on the Lord and watching him bring them through. Amazing stuff. But it's a bit of an unfair question, but do you have any highlights or moments or little snippets that stand out, or ones to look for out of the 80 to start us off with?
I think all of them are miraculous and amazing because God's done something that couldn't be done any other way. I think every single one of them is amazing. There's been a few that have touched me over the years because I've had a need and I've gone back and listened to it, even though I was there when they told the story, and that's really helped. I really enjoyed Pastor John and Janet's story. And probably because not long after I actually was able to sit down and do the final interview with them, she died. And so it was just an amazing, fortunate experience to be able to sit down with two incredible, faithful, humble people and hear about how this church grew and what they did and the sacrifices people made along the way. And So that's probably a favourite, I reckon.
Yeah, it stood out to me too, that one. Was that a 3-parter or a 2-parter, that one?
I think that was a 3-parter.
Yeah. Yep.
Pastor
So,
Jock and Helens is good too.
Yeah.
If you like a bit of history.
yeah,
Although I
for
reckon Pastor Jock was stitching us up. I reckon he just kept talking because we would invite him over for lunch. Come over for lunch. We'll do some more podcast recording, and then we'll have to do another one. He's saying, all right?
Classic. It sounds like Pastor Jock.
Yeah.
Ben, I don't know whether we can do a link. I know it's sort of, you hop on your phone. There's a few golden oldies here that are probably all over podcasts. Like I'm looking at right in the middle of my screen is Pastor Lyle and the beautiful Ingrid from Coffs Harbour. Now, you look at Lyle and you think that guy's got no idea how to find a podcast, but I reckon even Lyle can find a podcast on your phone. Look, thumbs up. When he's walking along Sawtell Beach up there in the mid-north coast, he's got podcasts in his ears. So go and find Revival in the Air, put it in your ear and listen to some amazing conversations with Ben.
So you just go to revivalontheairtoday.com. They're all listed there. You can scroll through them and find them.
Awesome.